The fountain puts a great emphasis on the idea of death as a way to rebirth and makes us recognize that death is not a disease to run away from, but an act of rebirth that should be accepted as an inevitable part of life. After all, the film begins with the quote, "Death is the road to awe," meaning death must come in order to observe the beauty of all creation. That is an act of rebirth. We perceive it through different characters who are actually meant to denote the same person. Tommy, who is flying to space with his spaceship towards the nebula wrapped around the dying star, and the present Tommy, who is obsessed with finding a cure for cancer to fix his wife's illness, and Thomas, also known as the Conquistador, who is the version of Tommy written by Izzy on her final book. We get to examine the unacceptance of death through Tommy, who is working day and night to find a cure for cancer so he can cure his wife. When Izzy asks Tommy to take a walk with her, he simply refuses and gets angry and yells at her. Here, you can see all the papers on his desk, which reflects that he is spending a lot of time curing cancer instead of spending time with his wife. There is a stark contrast between Izzy and Tommy here. Tommy, who is fixated on finding cure for cancer, is completely stressed out, while Izzy, who has got cancer, is ready to accept her mortality and wants to spend whatever time she has with her husband. What's indicated here shows that the person who has accepted her mortality is happier than those who haven't, which is essential to convey the brilliance of this film. Tommy slowly by slowly is losing his grip, which is causing harm to himself and all the other people in the hospital that he is working with. His love for Izzy and his desire to be with her forever have caused him more harm than good, which can be witnessed when he was happy that his treatments had been successful to cure some effects of aging. But the moment they revealed that there was no change whatsoever in the growth of tumor, he goes back to his obsessive and restless quest to find a new drug overnight that might help him to cure cancer of his wife. He becomes delusional, focusing more on the result and forgetting that the process behind getting the result takes time and effort, forgetting that it's totally out of touch with the human mind to produce a new drug overnight. Another instance of Tommy losing his grip can also be witnessed when he gives Donovan an untested compound that might have very dangerous effects on him. His quest to cure death has led him to be desperate, reckless, and hasty, and even lose sight of his ethics and principle as a doctor, and that he is willing to take such a dangerous risk as using an untested compound on his patient. In contrast to all this, Izzy has already come to terms that she is going to die. So she wants Tommy to complete her book, which is supposed to signify that he has accepted the inevitable. Her acceptance of her near upcoming demise is vaguely indicated when she shows Tommy the nebula wrapped around the dying star, where she is in out in the cold with naked feet, having no care for her own well-being. Here, the Death Star nebula wrapped around the dying star represents comfort. The star is dying while the nebula is wrapped around it, which is supposed to represent that dying is the state where humans can feel the most comfort, as it takes away all the stress, strains, and tension that people ought to suffer during their lifetime. This is further supported when Izzy faints and when she wakes up. Her words are,
I wasn't afraid.
You're very strong.
When I fell, I was full.
she felt guarded, calm, and serenity when she was in her near death experience, which made her even more fearless of her end and made her aware of the eternal charm and delicacies of the world that awaited after her demise. Also, there is also a reference to Moses Morales' father, who died and the seed was planted on his grave. The seed became the tree. The tree, the bird ate the fruit from the tree, and part of father's soul grew alongside the bird, which signifies that after death, the father became free. All the suffering of his life ended with that final act and became liberated from his body prison and flew freely alongside the bird. The conquistador, or Thomas, a character in his final book, is trying to defend the Queen of Spain, Isabella, from the Inquisitor, a religious fanatic who views immortality as a sin that is against the will of God.
Our bodies are prisons for our souls. Our skin and blood, the iron bars of confinement. But fear not. All flesh decays. Death turns all to ash. And thus, death frees every soul.
Here we get to witness Inquisitor's fanaticism, his malice towards people who are willing to go against the will of God. He believes that he is freeing the people who sided with the Queen by brutally killing them, which in a way is setting them free from their sins by getting punished in hell. He is a tyrant that is willing to use his religion to spread his fear across Spain so that people will be loyal to him and dare not decide to stand against him. Immortality is also portrayed as an escape from tyranny. Tyrants force obedience of people through the consistent use of killing for disobedience. So, in order to make the Inquisitor's agenda successful, the Queen Isabella informs Thomas of a special tree at the core of the Mayan civilization, which sap can grant immortal life. The Conquistador doesn't really care whether he dies or lives, if it's for Spain, so he embarks on this quest to find the immortal life. But as soon as he gets to the tree of life and drinks its sap, that quickly heals his wound. He lusts for it. He becomes hungry for eternal life, and his lust, he drinks too much sap, and it eventually causes his demise. Though it brings forth more life, he is sacrificed for it. In contrast to this, Tommy eventually comes to terms and accepts his own mortality, and sacrifices himself to bring back life into a dying, decaying, and fading universe.